What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be using a tier list to rank the best defensive players from all 32 NFL teams. Let's get into it. So some NFL content. Usually I've been doing boxing and just boxing tier list for the past couple months. And I love boxing. Absolutely. I'm going to still continue to do boxing, but it's football season now. Usually from August to February, I focus a lot on NFL, focus a lot on football, because football is my favorite sport, believe it or not. I played it my whole life. So that's why we're going to be doing some tier lists. Hopefully to have some fun with these. I did boxing tier lists in the past, of course, all that. I also been posting just regular football stuff in the past. My channel was built off video games and NFL content. So we're doing a tier list. Usually when people do tier lists, it's, rank the best teams, rank the best quarterbacks. And that's what I'll do in the future, but I wanted to start off with something different. Defensive players. I picked, in my opinion, the best defensive player from all 32 teams, and I'm going to be ranking them. S tier being the best, A through D, self-explanatory. Now, if I put a player in D tier, I'm not saying that they're a D tier player. I'm just saying that compared to everybody on this list, they're D tier compared to everybody else, if that makes sense. So let's get right into it. Like all my tier lists, I start off with S tier first. We have fun first. We go right into it. So S tier, I'm going TJ Watt. Alrighty. Now I am a Steeler fan, but come on now. Defensive player of the year, always leading in sacks, always up there in sacks, unstoppable. I believe he was robbed of defensive player of the year this past year I thought he should have won over Myles Garrett. TJ Watt is undisputedly S tier and one of the best defensive players in the whole league. Mentioning Myles Garrett, even though I'm not a fan of Myles Garrett, I do think he's S tier also. Fred Warner, probably the best middle linebacker in the league right now. He's also an S tier. He's a three-time All-Pro, three-time Pro Bowler. And, you could argue that either him or Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa's consistency just up and down. Fred Warner, he's consistently been the best at his position. S tier for Fred Warner. Alrighty, now let's go in order. So, Jonathan Greenyard, he is now on the Vikings. He coming off 4 years in the Texans. He had 12 sacks last year, 12 and a half sacks, which is good. Going into the Vikings, I think that he is the best player on the Vikings. But in terms of everybody here, I got to put him D tier. Cam Jordan. Now, you could argue also that other Saints players are the best. I'm still rocking with Cam Jordan. You could say Tyrann Mathieu, other Saints players. I think Cam Jordan's still that best Saints player on the defensive side. 3-4 years ago, he's B or A tier. Now I'm putting him D tier. Roquan Smith, another good inside linebacker, probably him and Fred Warner being the best. I don't think he did enough to be S tier yet. So I'm going to go A tier for Roquan Smith. Sauce Gardner going into his third year. All right, he's going to be a Hall of Fame cornerback, no doubt. And in a year or two, could be S tier. All right, 2 years in, but he's a two-time Pro Bowler, two-time All-Pro. Alrighty, Sauce Gardner is very good, no doubt about it. Just too early to put him S tier. But going into this year, he is certainly going to be A tier defensive player. Dexter Lawrence for the Giants, two-time Pro Bowler, pretty good with sacks for being an interior defensive lineman. I think he's the best defensive player on the Giants. I think he's one of the best defensive linemen in the league, but I'm going to put him at B tier. Matt Judon, I believe, is still the best defensive player on the Patriots. Only played 4 games last year. Okay, coming off injuries. Let's see if he can get back to what he was back in, 2021, 2020, and things like that. Let's see if he can get back to there. But for now, I'm putting him C tier for Matt Judon. Khalil Mack, a future Hall of Famer. What a season he had last year for Chargers, 17 sacks. He's going to keep going. I say Khalil Mack is an A-tier defensive player. Matt Milano, what a great year he had 2 years ago. Last year, only played 5 games. If he could get back to where he was 2 years ago, he'd be A-tier. But let's see. The defense for the Bills, it's mediocre, but he leads the way. Good linebacker. But for right now, I'm putting him C-tier. He needs to show me more. Jesse Bates, I feel like is going to be another all-pro safety this year. Had 6 interceptions last year for the Falcons. Falcons defense is boosting up as well. Jesse Bates is going to be very, very good. But let's see if he can be consistent. Only had 1 all-pro season. I believe that he's not going to be D tier yet because, well, I feel like he's going to be a lot better. I feel like he's going to be even better this year. C tier will be risky. I have these 2 guys at C tier because they were good before, got injured. Let's see if they can bounce back. Jesse Bates argument. Let's see if he can be consistent. Let's see if he can continue. So I'm going to go B tier for Jesse Bates. DJ Wonnum for the Carolina Panthers. Panthers, they're going to be bad again this year. But he had 8 sacks on the Vikings last year. He spent his whole career with the Vikings, 4 years. So he has that veteran leadership. Played 15 games last year. Like I mentioned, had 8 sacks, had a touchdown off a fumble, 15 QB hits. He's going to be the Panthers' best defensive player, but D tier when it comes to everybody else. So Jalen Carter, rookie last year, only started 1 game, but he did amazing. And I truly believe that going into this upcoming year, Jalen Carter is going to be the best defensive player for the Eagles. And pretty soon he will be an all-pro, one of the best defensive tackles, defensive linemen in the league. But, you know, Eagles, after coming off the D tier, after coming off a good rookie year, I don't want to put him D tier. I think he's going to be very, very good this year. I'm going to put Jalen Carter C tier, but I still think that he's the best defensive player for the Eagles. Trey Hendrickson, A tier. As a Steeler fan who watches him twice a year, I know how good he is. 17 and a half stacks, been very consistent on the Bengals, 3 straight Pro Bowl seasons. He's going to be good again this year. A tier for Hendrickson. Antoine Winfield, I'm putting him at A tier again. Alrighty, coming off an all-pro year. 6 sacks as a safety, 3 interceptions, 6 forced fumbles. That's unbelievable. Going into this year, he's going to be an A tier player. So I have him A tier. Now with Aaron Donald being gone, Chris Jones is probably the best defensive lineman in the league. A tier for Chris Jones. I think we're going to start to see him, level out. All right. I don't think he's going to get any better, but you can still rely on him to get 10 sacks a season. Rely on him to put a lot of pressure, get in the backfield. A tier for Chris Jones. Bradley Chubb for the Dolphins at 11 sacks last year. Let's see if he can get back to how he was back in 2022, 2021. Let's see if we get back in those Denver days. Bradley Chubb, though, I'm going to go B tier. Budda Baker, all right, one of the best safeties over the past 5 years. I'm afraid he's getting the injury bug, though. I think we're going to start to see a decline of Budda Baker. I mean, it takes a toll when you're on a terrible organization like the Cardinals. 3 years ago, A tier, now B tier. Jeffrey Simmons had good 2 years in 2021 and 2022. Had a solid year last year, 5.5 sacks. Only played 12 games, though. Let's see if he could try to get to 15 games at least this year. Jeffrey Simmons, C tier. Bobby Wagner, one of my favorite defensive players in the year, future Hall of Famer, came back to the Seahawks last year after spending some time with the Rams, had 183 tackles, led the league in tackles. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to be in the Commanders now. I think this is where we're going to start to see his career start to fade out, but still reliable. I still think he'll be another 100 tackle season for Bobby Wagner. I'm going B tier. Kobe Turner, solid rookie year, 9 sacks last year. With Aaron Donald gone, we're going to see a lot more of Kobe Turner's name being called, but just a rookie year. Alrighty, I don't want to, jump the gun too fast. Kobe Turner, B tier. Josh Allen, great year last year, 17 and a half sacks, interception, played all 17 games. We saw how good he did against the Bills. For the Jaguars, I think he's going to start to get better now. Only 27 now going into this year. I think, by the end of the year, Josh Allen will be A tier, but for right now, B tier for Josh Allen. Devon Witherspoon, cornerback, great rookie season last year. But once again, I don't want to jump the gun too fast. But after his really good rookie year, I think he's good enough to be C tier. Not D tier, but C tier. Will Anderson's tough because, like Witherspoon, he had a good defensive rookie season, but Anderson won Defensive Rookie of the Year, 7 sacks. I think he's going to be obviously a lot better this year. I'll go B tier for Will Anderson. Pat Surtain, one of the best corners when it comes to coverage. Doesn't show interceptions. Played 17 games last year, only 1 interception. But if I need to lock down a wide receiver, make sure they're not going to give up a lot of yards, give me Pat Surtain. Very good covering cornerback. He's going to be an all-pro for a couple years to come. So Pat Surtain, A tier. Aiden Hutchinson, going to his 3rd year, played 17 games both his rookie year, which he had a great rookie year, 17 games last year when he had 11 and a half sacks. I think we're going to see Hutchinson increase his sack total again this year, probably by 2 again. So he had 9.5 his rookie year, 11.5 last year. I think we see him get 13.5 this year. He's going to only get better, coming off 2 solid back-to-back seasons, but B tier for Hutchinson. Micah Parsons is S tier already. But definitely S tier. He's going to keep getting better. He's only 25. Past 3 years, incredible years. Had over 13 sacks in all 3 of his past seasons. All 3 of his first 3 seasons of his career. His whole career, he averaged over 13 sacks a season. Alrighty. He stays healthy, played 17 games this past year, played 17 games the year before that. Micah Parsons, S tier. Another thing with Parsons is between him, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett for defensive player of the year conversations every year. It's going to be like that for a while. Probably 2 or 3 years. Parsons will win defensive player of the year as well. Samson Ebukam, 9.5 sacks last year for his first season on the Colts. We'll see how he is this year. I think he's going to get better. Definitely experienced, been in the league for quite some time. C tier. Kenny Clark for the Packers. I'm going B tier. He's been consistent, healthy, always in the backfield. B tier for Kenny Clark. Jalen Johnson for the Bears. I think that he's going to start to emerge into an all-pro defensive back. Only played 14 games last year, but had 4 interceptions. He's going to start getting better. Going into this year, I have him B tier. Max Crosby. This one's tough between S and A tier. But I got to say this. He's definitely consistent, definitely reliable. Probably, I mean, top 3, top 2 defensive end in the league. I don't know. I mean, he needs to emerge into the all-pro defensive end. He's not better than Myles Garrett, not better than TJ Watt, not better than Parsons when it comes to edge rushing. He's a little better than Hendrickson, better than Mac at this stage of his career. I don't know. Is Mac Crosby S tier or A tier, guys? You got to let me know down in the comments. I got to go S tier. Watching him play, dude, he's tough, fast, always in the backfield. He's going to be a defensive player of the year candidate. He already is already. But I won't be surprised if he wins defensive player of the year within the next 4 years. I'll go S tier for Max Crosby. So that is my tier list for the best defensive players in the league. I'm sure you guys are not going to agree with me, and that's okay. Let me know down in the comments what you agree with or disagree with. Maybe you'll change my mind. Maybe I'll change your mind. But I enjoy doing these. I'm going to make more in the future. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm out. Peace.